Hey everyone, this is Wei. Now I know people have a lot of problem drawing hair and they find it, very intimidating to draw all these hair, but it's actually a very simple process. So let me show you some key points about drawing hair that's going to help you improve your hair drawing. Now first off, for drawing hair, I find it a lot easier to shade hair with a softer pencil like a 4B because with each stroke it's a little bit it's softer and it covers a little bit more area. I also use a 2B, but it's a little bit the strokes are a little bit thinner and it's not as soft, and I pretty much avoid like things like this. This is like a 2H where it's just way too thin, and it really depends on if you want to have like a super realistic hair rendering, then you might need a 2H or an HB or a mixture of everything. But in general, it's a lot easier to sketch with a softer pencil like a 4B. Alright, so I'm going to use a 4B pencil for this. Now, the first thing to recognize on any kind of hair, you got to recognize the volume, exactly what it is doing, right? Because there's a definite shape and there's a definite flow. And to create that kind of volume, you have to recognize it first. So for something like this, you can see the curl. You gotta identify it, right? You gotta see this volume right here. I'm just gonna draw this part right here. Okay, so it flows in like that, right? Kind of like a wave almost, right? So this is outside and it flows inwards. And here, it kind of flows the same way. So that's the first step, is to be able to see the volume. What is the hair doing? So this one curls up, okay, goes over, and then everything underneath, this is on the inside, it gets dark, right? So you can shade that dark. And then see, there's always a highlight on the hair, right? Because it's round, it's like a cylinder. So there's a highlight right here. So the highlight's gonna be right here. So you can make this area dark. And then now, you get this little curvature here, right? You can feel it a little bit more. And then there's another highlight on the inside. Okay, so it goes this way. So you can see just by some quick shading like this, you can identify the volume of the hair fairly quickly. So that is the first step in any kind of hair drawing, is to be able to see what it's doing. So if I were to just, let's say freehand, let's say, let's say this is a face right here. Okay, and I'm gonna draw some hair. Let's say it's gonna go like this, okay, and then maybe it'll flow down here, right, come down, whatever. Okay, maybe like that. Okay, here's the eyes. Okay, so by drawing these banana shapes or curvatures, I'm basically identifying the volume, like how is it gonna go, right? So this area is gonna curve, from the middle here, it's gonna curve down. This is gonna go this way, and there's gonna be a bulge right here. It's gonna flow outward, and this one's gonna sink in, and then this flows out again. So you really have to identify this in order to draw hair, because if you don't see the shape, you're not gonna shade it right. So let's say this is the hairstyle that I want. So let's say there's a highlight, right here. So any curvature like this, there's gonna be a highlight right around here, right? So you can let's just make that dark like that. Okay. So the hair is coming down, hits the highlight, and it's white. Okay. And then let's do this segment right here. Okay. Same thing. That curve down, hits the highlight. That. You see how I like using the 4B, it just covers more area. And then let's say this part here comes in, same thing. Okay. And then maybe this is a different light source coming from this direction, so it can be different. So I'll continue here. Let's say I'll do this. Let's say there's some backlighting too, right? So it's a little bit more interesting. You have multiple highlights on the hair. So this is gonna come straight down, and then I'll make, let's say there's a highlight right around here, and then this is gonna gradually get darker. All right, and then this part, and then this is gonna catch some light here too. So you might want to leave some highlights there. Okay, and then you have. So you see, it's really not that hard, and I know it doesn't, it's not hyper realistic, but this is one way of sketching hair because it's just really quick. I mean, as long as you see that right here, I'm not sure what's going on, so I don't know what to do. But the minute I start doing shapes, then you understand, okay, that's what I want to do, right? And then you start sketching like that. So the stroke for doing this kind of hair is, basically this kind of stroke, right? And I kind of talk about this in my line video on how you can get this kind of, that, where it tapers out or you come in, nice and soft. So, that's one way of doing hair, this kind of strokes. So a way to practice this kind of stroke is just, you can do this as if, right, this is like one strand of hair or something, right? And then let's say you want to make this darker, you can just come in, start shading that. So you get a nice gradual, transition. And do that. Right, this is kind of gradual. But sometimes with the hair, it's actually, the transition is pretty, because of the highlight, it can be pretty rough. It can also be like this too, and it still works, right? It all depends. Alright, so let's say you want to draw this hairstyle right here on this picture. So the first thing you want to do is to identify the shape. So from here, we gotta read this, I'm just gonna draw this segment right here. So I'm gonna read that, right? It's gonna be a big clump that kind of pulls over, right, to this side. It's gonna come over, and it's gonna be a couple of curls right here, okay? But this is gonna be one big clump coming over, and then from here, this area is gonna come down, right? And then it's gonna be a little bit of a clump coming out, even though it's kind of small, right? So this thing comes out, and this one comes. It's a little bit messy here, but it just kind of flares out, right? But there's a definite flow to it. So this is gonna flow in. It's gonna come out here, as you can see from the highlight. So it's gonna come out, okay? So, and then right here it's pretty dark, but it looks like some curls. I'll just sketch those in real quick. All right. So from here, let's just start from this side. Okay, so this is gonna pull right over, and then this is gonna get dark right here, right? So we can sketch this area dark. And here's the highlight. It's gonna flow in, and then from here, see that little? I'm gonna draw this little dip right here. Okay, because that goes in, and here's the highlight right here, right? And we can draw that. Yes, draw the dark area, and that will give us the highlight. From here, and draw, here it goes in. This is dark in here. And shade that dark. So there's a lot of highlight here. So I'm not gonna try to match it exactly. I'm just gonna rough it in because I kind of know, there's a lot. The highlights are right here. So I'm just gonna sketch it in. And that's the thing with hair, it doesn't need to be exact because it's kind of crazy if you try to, draw everything exactly. That's what you see. Once you understand the flow, you just kind of create your own. Like right here, this area is a little bit darker, so I'm just gonna come down darker. Right. Darker flowing. Okay, so this is gonna flow out. And this is gonna be dark here. There's a highlight right there. This is pretty dark right here. And by making, like this area dark right here, it brings this area out. So that's what hair is, it's just, because there's a lot of different layers, by making things dark on the back, certain lighter things will pop up. And that's how you get the volume of the hair. It's like right here is really dark, right? So if I make that really dark, it's like a little triangle right there. See how, these two strands just kind of pops up. So that's how it goes. and you can exaggerate it, you know, to make a sort of just a visual trick. So right here, I mean, you know, it's kind of messy and it's kind of in the shadows, so you can just kind of fill it in if you like. So right here, let's say you want to do some of this highlight, so I'll exaggerate it. I'll make this a little bit dark. Okay. So if you look at this, it's not exactly like that, right? But it still feels the same because by having this highlight, you're kind of, you know, showing that there's a curve there, and that's what make, you know, hair believable. So in here it's pretty dark. I'm just gonna layer it in. So maybe here, yeah, just give it some variety, and then here is just pretty much dark. Okay, and there's a strand coming up, and we can do that pretty easily just by giving a highlight. Let's say that. So unless you have to be, you know, if you want to be perfectly exact, then you just kind of have to take a lot of time to read into the shape a lot more, you know, than what I'm doing here. So I just want to show something quick. Okay. So you can see that, you know, the form is starting to come out, right? And then once you have this, then you can go in and clean it up a little bit, you know, to better define it, so that it's not so messy. Maybe, you know, maybe just some crucial areas just to, you know, sell the shape a little bit better. In general, you know, you kind of don't want to make the hair too complicated. If you have too many lines, it's actually very distracting. I mean, it's like, you know, if everything is perfectly you know, sharp or you know, filled with, you know, a lot of individual hairlines, and it just kind of gets boring. I mean, like this area right here, you can just kind of shade it in, you know, and it actually makes it more interesting because you know, it helps you focus your eye on, you know, the highlights and different areas, you know, more important areas. So that right here, you know, it's pretty messy. You can put in some dark lines like that just to mix it up, you know, so that you know, it reads that there's strands there and not just one perfectly shaped area. There. So like darker area right here. Make some lines right there. So you see, after the initial, you know, the roughing in, that when you go in, now you can clean it up and you know, better define the shapes. That's what's kind of really help your hair drying. But without the first initial stage, you know, you would not be able to see what the hair is doing, and then it's pretty much impossible to shade at that point. Alright, so let's do another quick example. Now this one's a little bit easier to draw because it's just straight hair, right? But you know, whatever hairstyle you're gonna be drawing, you gotta identify the shape. So let's figure out the flow of this, right? Now there's just basically gonna come straight down right here, right? Now there's gonna be a strand that comes over and curves back in. Okay, we gotta identify that one, and then there's another strand here that comes in like this, right? And it tucks in. And then this strand right here, right, kind of goes underneath. And then there's another strand right here. I know it's not exact, but it doesn't matter for this demonstration. And then this area comes in, down, and then this kind of tucks in a little bit. And then this comes over. And then these are just kind of, yeah, come straight down, just kind of fuzzy. All right, so from the top here, I'm gonna start right here because this is the curvature, and it's the darkest area right here. Actually, I'm gonna use a 4B, so I can make that area dark. And then right here, let's see, where is that? Oh, I'll just say it's like somewhere right here. It's a deep crease right there. And then this one, there's a highlight right there. It's bright. Okay, and then it comes, the shadow area is darker, so that will help push out this shape. Actually, the 4B is probably a little bit too soft for this. I'm drawing pretty small. So let's go back to the 2B. Okay, there's a highlight there. This is dark. And this is dark. Now this strand right here comes out, so it's gonna be white. And this underneath here, it's gonna be darker because it's behind it. So again, by doing that, it just brings out this strand in the highlight. Here. Now this is pretty dark. I can make it a little bit darker, and then. So you see the stroke, right? It's a lot of this kind of stuff. Right. Here and here, it's dark. Again, doesn't need to be exact. And then this goes out, comes down. So this would be like the first stage, you know, you're just roughing it in, and then now you can clean it up and make certain areas darker, you know, to bring out the shape more, the flow. So the smaller, you know, the harder the pencil, the more lines you need to make. But then again, you know, you'll be able to do more realistic hair rendering, because so it depends on what you want. You know, it's just now from here. This is pretty boring, so I'm gonna do my own. I'll just create a little bit more flow to it and make it a little bit more interesting. Right? So you see the strokes, it's just like this. Right. This. Or like this, I'm going in, out. So the harder your pencil, the more strokes you need. And the more realistic it is. So the hair rendering that's what it is. It's just, you know, the more time you put into it, the more realistic you can get it. But to get to that stage, you know, you have to do, you know, you gotta do the rough part first. You know, you gotta do this kind of stuff first and identify what is the hair doing. You know, where is it going, and then once you get that, then you can, you know, switch to harder pencil and pretty much, you know, just start shading it. And it takes a lot of work. It's you know, sometimes it's not a lot of fun because there's a lot of repetition. So now for highlights, so sometimes you might screw it up and you made it too dark. You know, you could just use a kneaded eraser, and then just kind of cut into it. You know, and you can do this at the end because let's say you want some, you know, small highlights, hair, you know, flowing around everywhere, kind of a little bit messy. You can do that with a kneaded eraser or a you know, electronic eraser where you can, you know, just kind of cut in. Okay. I mean, of course, this is really messy, but if you need it, you know, that's one way of doing it. But you kind of do that at the end because you don't want to be, you know, cutting all this and then you know, start shading again. You probably do need to shade a little bit, you know, just to clean things up and sharpen certain areas, but that's for the last stage. So I hope you found this video to be helpful, and if it does, please do share my video because I'm cutting up a lot of my reference images to make these videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.